Welcome once again to True Platform. My name is Adewale Samuel. Proceeding from the last introduction to this theme, which I called Christ, the image of God. We established that when God says, let's create man in our own image and according to our own likeness, God was actually pointing to Christ. Many people actually think that God was pointing to Adam. But Adam was a prototype. God was talking about Christ. When God said, let's create man in our image, God was talking about Christ, not Adam. And I want you to see that because I'll be establishing this from the Bible for you. Look to the book of Genesis chapter 1, as I said. And God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and the bird of the air. So I was talking about who is the image of God. Who is the image of God? The image of God is Christ. And any man in Christ is made after the likeness of that image. Let me put it that way. I don't know how to explain it better. But when you are talking about the image of God, the image of God is Christ. And I want to pick passages of the Bible. Let's check the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4. I want to pick 2 Corinthians chapter 4 from verse 4. In the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4 from verse 4, I'll read. And it says, it said, for their mind, he was talking about, verse 3 was talking that even if our gospel message is veiled, it is only veiled to those who are perishing. Verse 4 now said, for their minds have been blinded by the God of his age, leaving them in unbelief. Their blindness keeps them from seeing the dayspring light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the divine image of God. So when God was actually talking about let's create man in our own image after our likeness, God was not talking about Adam. God was talking about the new creation man in Christ, because the image of God is Christ. Christ is the image of God, is the divine image of God, is the divine, and that's why the Bible was saying, Paul was saying that as we behold him through the mirror, he said we are being changed, because he knows that Christ is the image of God, and the more you behold him through the mirror of his word, there is a transformation that goes on, that transforms you from the inside out. Even in your spirit you are Christ, but in your soul you are being transformed, and in our body will be transformed at the second coming of Christ. I want to emphasize this as I pick another passage of the Bible, the book of Colossians chapter 1. Colossians chapter 1 verse 5. Colossians chapter 1 verse 5. And I want to read. Colossians chapter 1 verse 5 says, your faith and love rise within you as you access all the treasures of your inheritance stored up in the heavenly realm. For the revelation of the true gospel is as real today as the day you first heard of our glorious hope. Now that you have believed, I'm reading Colossians chapter 1 verse 15 is Colossians chapter 1 verse 15. Let me read Colossians chapter 1 verse 15. Colossians chapter 1 verse 15. I read in that place. He said, he is the divine portrait. He was talking about Christ. The divine portrait, the true likeness of the invisible God, and the firstborn heir of all creation. So when God was saying, let's create man in our own image and according to our own likeness, I said God was not referring to Adam. God was referring to Christ. Christ is the image. Christ is the likeness of God. And every man that will be created must be created after the likeness of the Son, after the image of the Son. After the image of the Son. So when God said, let's create man in our image and according to our likeness. What is that likeness of God? What is that image of God? It is Christ. Now when you go to Colossians 3 verse 10, just more emphasis on that. Colossians 3 verse 10, it said, for you have acquired new creation life, which is continually being renewed into the likeness of the one who created you, giving you the full revelation of God I was talking about that anyone that is created after the likeness and the image of God has to do with someone being born again in Christ. So, and Hebrews chapter 1 also make an emphasis on that, talking about Christ being an express image of God. All things were created for him. Now, Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3. He said, the Son is the dazzling radiance of God's splendor, the exact expression of God's true nature. That is Christ. The exact expression of God's true nature is mirror image. So when God was saying, let's create man in our own image, after our own likeness, God was not referring to Adam. Adam was a prototype of that creation. And when you go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, you will see he was talking about the first Adam, the second Adam, which is the last Adam. The first man, the second man, the first Adam, and the last Adam. Talking about Christ is the one that puts an end to Adamic race. I want to just stop here and talk to let you know that Adam, the first man, was a prototype, as I say, a figure of the last Adam. And you know, in engineering, we have this practice. When you want to create a project, you create what is called a prototype. You don't take the prototype for the reality. The reality is the project when you execute it. So, but the prototype is just is pointing. It's a symbol. It's a symbol. The prototype is a symbol. So, in the book of Romans chapter, okay, let me read Romans chapter 5. In the book of Romans chapter 5, I want to read Romans chapter 5 verse 14. I'm talking about Adam not being the reality now. Adam not being the reality. It said, yet death reigned as king from Adam to Moses, even through they that Adam broken the way, that Adam broken the command the way Adam did, the first man. Adam was a picture of the Messiah who was to come. So Adam was just a picture. You don't take picture as a real thing. The real thing is Christ. Christ is the reality. So Adam is a picture, is a figure. And that is what we are talking about. When you go to the book of 1 Corinthians, as I was saying, 1 Corinthians chapter 15 from verse 14. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 from verse 14. I want to read 1 Corinthians 15 from verse 14. I'm reading now. 1 Corinthians said 4. Okay, so let me go to verse 40. Sorry. 1 Corinthians 15 from verse 40. I read. It said, in the same way, there are earthly bodies and heavenly bodies. There is a splendor of the celestial body and a different one of the earthly. There is a radiance of the sun, different radiance of the moon and the stars. Even the stars differ in their shining. That's how it will be with the resurrection of the dead. And when you read further, you begin to see in that verse 15, 45, it said, for it is written, the first Adam became a living soul, the last Adam became a life-giving spirit, creating people after his order. However, the spiritual did not come first, the natural preceded the spiritual. I was talking about Adam is a prototype. The first man was from the dust of the earth. The second man is Yahweh from the realm of heaven. And that's why we can say that if a man is not born again, he has not started living. He's still dead in trespasses and in sin. The first one made from dust has a race of people just like him, who are also made from dust. The one sent from heaven has a race of heavenly people who are just like him. Once we carry the likeness of the man of dust, but now let us carry the likeness of the man of heaven. So you must understand it. So Adam was not God's objective. When God was saying, let's create man in our own image, after our own likeness, God was talking about the new creation in Christ Jesus. The new creation in Christ. So a man is not complete until Christ dwells in him. So when you use the word, I am being complete in Christ, being complete in God, it comes as a result of you accepting all what God has done for you in Christ. That is where our completeness actually is. I'll proceed from this in the next teaching. Thank you.